Hello, everyone, and welcome to part 2 of episode 16 of Sessa's Corner, featuring my special interview with the one and only renowned life coach, educator, and now author, the one and only Daniel D'Elia. I hope you enjoyed part 1, and it gives me great pleasure to bring to you now the second half and the conclusion of my special interview with the one and only Daniel D'Elia, where he continues to teach all of you how to make the greatest investment of all, which is to invest in yourself. And, in addition to fear being one of the normal barriers that we see, one of the other barriers that you talk about in the book, you have a whole chapter dedicated to it, okay, is time, okay? A simple 4-letter word that, can wreak havoc on our lives if we are not managing it effectively, okay? And I love how you point out there's 168 hours in a week and so on and so forth. Talk a little bit more about that particular chapter and the importance of maximizing time and breaking it down for us.
Sure. So, the time thing is an entire science. If you really think about it, there are 52 weeks in a year, okay? Some people think, 52 is not that many. It's enough, okay? There are 365 and a quarter days a year. There are 24 hours in a day, right? So if you were breaking down your 168 hours in a week, okay, and you're breaking your 24 hours, in a day, how are you breaking these down? Okay, so, all right, let's say you're a person who likes to sleep 10 hours. It's fine. What about the other 14? The other 14 that exist, all right, so let's say you work, okay? Most of us work about, let's say, 8 to 10 hour days, okay? I'm just going to even include the 10 hours with travel, okay?
Exactly.
Now, you still have an additional 4 hours a day, okay? You multiply that times 7 days a week, right? It's 28. Okay, that's 28 hours. That's more than a day right there. That is literally more than a day that you have extra time. And people always, they say, I don't have time. But what are you doing within that time that you have? I just told you that there's 28 hours that you literally are not accounted for. Okay, so what are you doing in those 28 hours? Oh, well, I have to eat. Okay, fine. Okay, so we'll subtract a couple hours for that. Now what? Well, I gotta check my social media. That's another 40 hours right there. Now you're in the negative hours. So it's what we do within the time, right, is really going to make the most impact, And I understand if you cheat a couple minutes here, cheat a couple minutes there. I get that. But, if you actually log, right, and write down the amount of time that you spend doing uneventful things within your week, it is absurd. It is absurd. Time is the one thing that no matter how much money you have, no matter how much power you have, or any of those things, you can't get more of. But we are all given the same amount of time. Someone said this great quote, and they were like, you understand that Oprah and you have the same amount of hours in a week. And I was like, wow. I mean, just think about it. Yeah. If you think about it, think about Jeff Bezos. We have the same amount of time in a week. But yet he's a multi-billionaire, and I'm not, So then you start to think about these things and say, okay, how can I use my time more wisely? I already told you, I broke it down. You have 52 weeks in a year. You have 168 hours in a week. You have 24 hours a day, right? What are you doing within these hours? And that's really going to be able to make that difference, right? I started, using my time more wisely. Okay, spend a couple hours a day, break it down. Okay, I told you before, you have 4 hours in a day extra. So there you go. What am I going to do? I can break a half hour here, an hour there. I'm going to schedule my me time. Maybe I want to really do my me time, so that's 2 hours for that day. So that leaves me another 2 hours to kind of maybe have a little bit more fun or relax or something like that.
Work out.
You can still build that in. Yeah. Again, we always have this preconceived notion, this idea in our mind that I don't have any time. But yet, when you actually break it down and you do your actual daily schedule, your daily log, you're like, I have a lot more time than I thought I did.
And Lord knows, the issue of managing time effectively has been a big, issue for me it's been an ongoing work in progress for me. But this one particular chapter in your great book has definitely helped me immeasurably with using time and utilizing time more effectively. And I mean, again, the way you put it, with breaking it down, that 168 really stuck out to me. And I feel like I'm already beginning to see some of the benefits. Now, it's a work in progress. And it's going to always be a work in progress. But, my eyes are now more wide open than ever before on this whole concept of time. And I love how in chapter 6 in particular, you actually, lay out 8 steps in terms of, investing in yourself, and you kind of break everything down into a kind of a step-by-step thing, and I'm just going to kind of run through them for a moment.
Sure.
Identify the problem, which we kind of touched on already. Recognizing that it's your responsibility, it's our responsibility to, address and fix the problems or the barriers that, that we are respectively facing. Setting a destination and a time frame for your goals. You mentioned before about the SMART goals, setting short-term SMART goals, and then of course long-term goals. SMART goals being the key. What's measurable, what's achievable, and then executing the plan to achieve those goals. The rewarding of yourself, sticking to your guns, staying focused, staying on track and on focus with your plan and to achieve those goals. And then of course, there's no such thing as a finish line, because once you achieve one set of goals, you want to keep setting new goals, because that keeps you motivated. And now you achieve this, now let's achieve that, let's take it to this level, to the next level, etc. And I love how you talk about in chapter 7 where you ask that question, what is your passion? Talk a little bit about how essential the concept of passion is to the overall concept of investing in yourself.
Sure. So ultimately, your passion has to be what drives you. It has to be what gets you out of the bed in the morning, right? And if you don't ever focus on that passion, right, and you just constantly put it to the side, you're going to feel things like depression. You might even slip into you might have some mental issues, okay? There's a lot of things that you're going to affect the people around you, right? So if you're not living a life of passion, if you're not giving the appropriate attention to it, right? It's like, think about a plant, right? If I don't water a plant, if I don't give it sunlight, it's going to die. I mean, it's kind of with yourself. If you're not feeding yourself, if you're not feeding into your passion and pursuing the things that you enjoy, the things that make you feel good, right? Then you're going to eventually, have more health problems and things like that. And it's a slippery slope.
You're going to crumble. Bottom line, ultimately, you're going to crumble.
So just like anybody who is successful, right? They have passion, and there's that great quote where if you do what you love, you never work a day in your life. And I think that's the key thing. So I'm not at that point yet, right? I'm still a constant work in progress, right? Where I do address my passions, and I'm able to do things towards my passions. My passion is basically to help people and to create things. And I do both of those as often as I possibly can. So to help people and to create things is what I constantly work on. It took me a while to figure out what my passions were. And the thing is, if you don't ask those questions, if you don't explore and say, what do I really like doing? When you do something and you get that tingly feeling,
yes,
right? And throughout your body, and you're you get that feeling, and you kind of almost you can't even control yourself, and you just smile, and you're like, this is such a good feeling, and you have this dumb smile on your face, and you can't wipe it away because you just feel so good while doing that. That is your passion. That is some sort of power or whatever you believe in that's saying, do this. Those little voices in your head or those tingly feelings that are going off when you really enjoy what you're doing. Yes, that's your passion. Listen to it.
There's no better feeling in the world. There's no question about it. No question about it. I mean, you know, and you know, a lot of you hear a lot of people say, well, I'm a passionate person, and sometimes you wonder, you know, do they even know what passion means?
I think not.
And you know, after reading the book, I now question that. But I mean, but that is a key ingredient, to this investing in yourself process. And another thing that you spend a lot of time on is our brain, our mind, you know, and how we need to make that, you know, how we need to retrain our brain, retrain our mind, and how, you know, it's you know, without question, you know, one of our greatest assets, if not the greatest asset. How do we strategically utilize our brain, you know, to work for us versus working against us? You know, talk a little bit about the power of our brains and the mind, our mind.
Sure. So, I mean, without getting like too much in depth with the brain, I can just say that a lot of times society trains our brains to be negative. It's not necessarily intentional, but it's just the way we're designed. So you go watch the news. Go ahead, just go watch the news for 10 minutes, and then please shut it off, right? And never turn it on again. But you turn on the news for 10 minutes, 95% is negative. Why? Because it keeps people engaged, and it keeps people with fear and things like that, and it's exciting in some ways, right? So we have news, negative, right? We have social media, negative, right? I could write a status and say, you are all beautiful, amazing people, right? And you get a couple likes, right? And then if I say, you are all pieces of garbage, right? Yeah. And you get like, boom, everybody's going to be like immediately
your phone will blow up.
Absolutely, immediately attracted to that, because people are going to respond to negativity more than they will to positivity. That's just the way we're designed. Or it should be the opposite, right? When I compliment somebody, it shouldn't be like, where's your angle? Why are you complimenting me? It should be like, oh, thank you. Up to something. You know, I appreciate that. So, you know, again, like, so the way that the brain processes things, we have that negativity where me being a positive person, right, and being optimistic, people like look at me like I'm crazy. They're like, I don't get it. How do you find the positive in every situation? I was like, because there is a positive in every situation, no matter how dire it may seem. Every situation has at least some positivity. You just have to realize that. The other thing is how our brains process things, right? I need to be able to understand how I learn. I'm a very hands-on, visual learner. If I don't know that about myself, I'm not going to be able to learn. Okay, a couple years back, I tried to learn language through like the audio, right? Trying to like book on tape it through the car.
Yes.
And I would be driving, and nothing would go in through my brain. Nothing. It wouldn't even process. And I'm like, what's going on here? Then I downloaded this app called Duolingo, right? Visual. I can see the words. I can see the pictures. Boom, my progress really started to increase.
There you go.
So I found out what type of learner I was, and I was able to use that to my advantage. So the brain, right? Maybe I am the type of person that takes, I don't know, a month to read a book. That's fine. Okay? Maybe I can only read a page at a time. That's fine. Maybe I can read it in an hour. Okay, that's fine too. Know who you are, understand how your brain works, and never stop using your brain.
Exactly.
Okay? And you know, I know this is a Sessa's Corner kind of mini topic, but don't put things into your brain that's going to abuse them. Drugs, alcohol, things like that, right? Try to be more aware of that and really be kind to your brain. Your brain likes certain foods. Your brain doesn't like toxic things, right? So just be smart about what you're putting into your body and what you're putting into your brain, and your brain will give you nice things back. You know that feeling on a Sunday morning if you've been partying all night and your brain starts pounding? Yeah, that's called a hangover, because your brain's upset that you literally drowned it in alcohol. Okay, and then you're trying to function after that, right? We do these things that like really start to like affect our brain, and then we still like get upset that we can't like push it to the power, push it to the pedal. And there's the big part of it. So really appreciate your brain, love your brain, and use your brain.
Absolutely. And one of the ways in which we want to use our brain is, again, in terms of stepping out of the comfort zone, is part of the ongoing process of all of this is trial and error. We're making mistakes, and how important it is to realize that each mistake we may make is an opportunity to learn and to grow.
Yes.
and you know, we hear it, in so many different ways, that you learn by making mistakes. So mistakes, shouldn't be viewed as the adversary. They're actually really an asset. Tell me more about the concept of making mistakes. And
So I'd say that the two most difficult things that for me was, one, admitting to my mistakes. And I think for many people that's very difficult. So actually being able to own up and admit to your mistakes. And the second thing is actually saying it's okay to make mistakes. And as a matter of fact, not only is it okay to make mistakes, I encourage you to make mistakes.
Exactly.
And the only way you're going to be able to learn is through those mistakes. So I would say exactly as you just quoted. It's not a mistake, it's an opportunity to learn and grow.
Exactly.
So as I'm doing something, let's say I'm learning how to fix a broken pipe, right? Basic plumbing, right? I may have to take 12 trips to Home Depot, right? And there may be water all over the floor, but I'm learning, okay? And and each mistake that I make, oh wait, I forgot to shut the water off. Oh wait, I forgot to tighten this. Oh,
exactly.
I got the wrong size. Oh, this part isn't attached. And I'm learning through the process, through each mistake that I make. And this is something that we don't have in school. Like, where most courses and most classes were like, oh, there you go. You got 3 out of 10 correct. You got 7 wrong. You made all these mistakes. Well, there you go. Well, can we look at those mistakes that I made? Can we examine the mistakes that I made? Can I learn through those mistakes? And a lot of, just being an educator over the years, my students are so afraid to make mistakes. And here I am standing on top of the desk. Make mistakes. I want you to make mistakes. Please make mistakes.
Basically,
that's how you
pleading
learn.
with them. Yeah, exactly.
And I'm not sure if the answer's right. Shout it out anyway. Oh, I'm not sure if I'm doing this correctly. Do it anyway.
Exactly.
I will help you. Make the mistake. That's how we learn.
I couldn't agree with you more. Again, it all goes back to the original statement about how growth cannot take place until we step out of that comfort zone, and we're all uncomfortable at the fear of making a mistake.
Yes.
And but it is okay to make mistakes. Let's face it, we're going to make mistakes no matter what. So we might as well take advantage of making mistakes, because like you said, it's an opportunity to learn. So just, roll the dice.
Yes. And,
make the mistake, and then, you pick up from there. And I couldn't put it any better. And then you talk more about, self-discipline, self-awareness. And one of the other key things throughout, the course of the book and your program, the theme is, progress, not perfection. And I think a lot of us have a tendency where we try to be perfectionists. And, I remember a quote that I heard years ago, and I forget who said it, but, you cannot be perfect in an imperfect world.
Uh-huh.
Now, as a matter of fact, it was used in one of the original Batman movies, the one with Michael Keaton. Mm-hmm. And in fact, it was the first one that he made and he's in a scene with Kim Basinger. I remember she makes the comment to him, not saying that that's where the quote originated from, but she utilizes it in this one particular scene. And I'll repeat it again. You cannot be perfect in an imperfect world, but yet we all seem to strive for that. But it really shouldn't be about the perfection. It should be about, the progress.
Yes.
And what since reading the book, what I've been doing is I'm kind of keeping a little bit of a daily log for myself of what progress did I make today towards my goals, how productive was, of today was, or maybe yesterday was a little bit more productive than today, but now I can regroup and get ready for the next day. Mm-hmm. Progress, not perfection. I just want to kind of put some emphasis on that, because it's, I think, an underlying essential key to this whole thing. Would you agree?
Absolutely. So I ask myself this question as often as I can, and I say, what can I do today to be a better person than I was yesterday? Right?
Yeah.
remember, keep in mind, a better person than I was yesterday. Okay, so this is where the progress really comes into play. And there's this great speech by Matthew McConaughey. He did a commencement speech. You can find it on YouTube. You just go to like Matthew McConaughey commencement speech, and he basically talks about when you start looking at your life and examining your life, right? Every day you should try to do this, or at least once a week, or as often as you can. At the very least, once a year on your birthday. Okay, there's a little bit of examination and say, okay, where's this progress, right? How am I doing? Am I better yesterday? Am I better today than I was yesterday? Am I better than last week? Am I better than 6 months ago? And you start to track. And Matthew McConaughey actually breaks it down, and he looks at family, faith, work, right, and social life and things like that, where he basically looks at his areas. Well, have I been good enough to my family this week, or yesterday, or this past month, or have I been neglecting my work? Have I been neglecting this? And you really start to kind of work on that progress, because you're constantly working towards that progress. But we have this idea in our mind where, it's got to be perfect. Listen, you go on social media, you go on the movies, you do all that kind of stuff. It has this illusion that this world is perfect. We know it's not, as Anthony just said. It's imperfect, okay? And all those people, they have issues, and everybody, just goes through things, right? And it just maybe isn't really talked about. But this is where I come into the emphasis of saying, if you have things going on through life, if you are struggling with yourself in certain areas, look at those areas and see what type of progress can I make. Right? Don't aim for perfection, because you're not ever going to achieve it. You're never going to achieve it. But if you remember, it's a journey, right? Yep. Life is a journey. It's a whole progress, and and that's what it comes down to.
Absolutely, and along with that progress, not perfection theme is that maintaining that balance, work-life balance, but overall balance in life. And it goes back to what we were talking about too with the time issue as well. So many powerful concepts are in this book. We could spend all day and all night talking and breaking it down. And but folks, I want to impress upon you that as we touch on a little bit of some of these topics and concepts, they're all contained in Dan's book. Again, Invest in Yourself, the value of releasing your full potential. And I'm telling you, it is an absolute must read. But it's not just about wanting you to go out and read this book, but it's about wanting to help you all recognize the possibility of what you can achieve by releasing your full potential, and again, making that great investment, again, the greatest investment of all, of investing, in yourself. And, we talk about, other aspects of the book, the power of positivity, one of the things that has plagued all of us, procrastination. I think it speaks for itself. Okay, how procrastination has affected us all, and I think we can all agree that the most common way it's all affected us is it's in a negative way. Procrastination never, in my estimation, especially works to our advantage. And it's another false state of reality, as you put it, in your book. And then you talk about making your money work for you, and or is your money working for you? Are you working for your money? And we can get into obviously about being frugal, still being able to reward yourself, and diversified investing and what have you. But it all kind of it's like a bunch of dots that we're connecting here. Talk a little bit about those concepts I just mentioned, and to help tie us together here.
Sure. So as you mentioned, procrastination, that is I don't know, I feel like that's the number one thing that
it's a killer. It's a killer. And plain and simple.
I think we are all waiting for the right time often, but that's never going to happen.
Exactly.
It's just never going to happen. And that procrastination really just messes us up, and it throws off our entire timeline. So if you have an idea, you want to do something, just do it. You just work through it and grow through it and learn through it. And as far as the having money work for you, a lot of us are good at one of two things. We're good at spending money. We're very good at spending money with some of us, and we're also very good at making money, some of us, right? So making money, spending money, great. What about keeping money? Okay, and not only keeping money, but getting that money that you have now earned, getting it to actually work for you, right? I make money while I sleep, okay? And a lot of people cannot say that because, they trade their time for money, right? Me, I've worked out a way, so that I'm able to do that. And I do explain how to do that in a book. And it's an interesting thing. It's an interesting concept. What do you mean make money while I sleep? Well, read, figure it out. It's something that I learned how to do, and it's definitely an interesting thing. So yeah, it's just really getting, the idea behind this book is to be able to put together all the things that we really stress about when I have conversations with anyone. One of the top 3 things that they stress about is money. One of the top things they stress about is time. One of the top things they stress about is, well, I'm not really fulfilled and I'm not accomplishing things the way that I want. Well, because you're procrastinating. You know what I mean? So all these things really do come in. And the best part is this can be applied immediately. As you said, you were reading it. Yeah. And as you were reading it, you were literally applying things that day, that moment. So this is not something like I have to read the book and I got to wait 5 years just to get it, into my life and incorporate it. No, I can do that immediately. And that's the idea.
And the idea, indeed, and I like the way you round out the book with one of the most important concepts of all that I think a lot of us overlook and take for granted: gratitude. Being grateful and thankful for what we do already have, as opposed to just focusing on what we don't have, what we would like to have that we don't have, what we're unfulfilled about. And I know for me, I took a very, very good soul-searching look at, my life. And, I am proud to say that, I am very grateful for what I have, my wonderful, wonderful family, my wonderful friends, and the various opportunities that are going on right now in my life, and so forth. And but a lot of us have a tendency to overlook that because we're always focusing on what we don't have as opposed to what we do have. And I tell you, I mean, that as the final chapter, I think is so apropos, because we should take solace and pride in recognizing and acknowledging what we have in our life, and we should show and express and feel the gratitude for that. And tell me a little bit more about the power of that and the importance of the gratitude for what we already currently have as a building block for what's to come.
Absolutely. So originally, gratitude was supposed to be the first chapter. And I really thought about it, and I said, after I've already taken everybody through 21 chapters of examining themselves, of, breaking down obstacles, creating goals, doing all these things, I said, I want them to finish on a high note, but also I want to keep you grounded to reality a little bit. Yep. Right? So we're excited, we read the book, we're good, we're ready to go, we're ambitious, we're ready to go conquer the world, right?
Exactly.
But I want you to realize that what you currently have is the most important thing, and that you should be grateful for that, right? You look around, it could go anywhere. My really eye-opening moment for me is when I went to India, right? So my wife and I, we went to India, and we saw is a whole new world over there, okay? And very eye-opening experience. And it really helped me kind of, count my blessings about what I had. I mean, just the basic things: running water, electricity, just the basic things that we have. I'm very, very blessed. And every night I lay in bed, I do my prayers, and I thank God for everything that I have in my life. I mean, everything. Because I know that any one of these things at any moment can be taken away. And I think most of us, we forget that, right? So, I may thinking to myself like, oh, well, I could probably, hit the gym a little bit more, get a little bit, I used to be a little bit bigger, muscular, or, maybe I wish I had more hair, or maybe I wish I would better chin, or, whatever you're looking at. And these things we just magnify on, right? And, I'm really upset about that family member that I lost, a couple of years back, and I keep thinking about that. But what about the ones that are here? What about that? And that sense of gratitude is like almost just kind of taking your mind and like changing it over, flipping it over, and saying, look, this is it. This is what we're. Don't worry about this part of what's going on, okay? Because if you look underneath, this is really the real value that actually is in front of you. And and I feel like that is a big part of it, because I can complain about all these things I don't have, but I do not want to overlook all of the things that I have been blessed with.
Yeah.
Right? And whether I worked for them or they were given to me, or I was blessed with, whatever the case may be, is like, this is your situation, so focus on that. And I think once we kind of reshape that, and we're grateful for the things that we currently have, that will really empower us, to really go out and get more things and do things like that, but also never forget where you come from. And I think that's a big part of it. And I've always tried to do everything that I possibly can in my life, no matter how successful I am, no matter what I achieve. Be humble, okay? And just understand that where you came from, everything you have can be taken away like that. And so value it and appreciate it while it's here. That's the key thing.
I could not agree with you more. Words definitely to live by. And, let me ask you this. Now that you've gotten this, this powerful first book, under your belt, what's next? I mean, do you anticipate another book?
Yes.
What lies ahead?
So I actually have two books that are in mind right now. One I kind of in the process of, it's a wrestling book, right? So I was a wrestler for a number of years. I was a wrestler from third grade all the way through high school, right? I actually was pretty successful, state caliber level wrestler. So I was very fortunate with that experience. And I also had the pleasure of coaching middle school for 8 years. So I have a very vast wrestling background on both sides, on the mat and off the mat. And just really the impact and value that this book, that the sport has made on my life, and I want to kind of write about that. So it's 6 minutes for a lifetime of success. That's essentially what how attributing to like wrestling.
Yep.
And then the other book is, this book is good for, I'd say, high school and up, essentially, right? So I mean, if you're around like 10th grade, I think you can make an impact. You can start incorporating those things and up. I was thinking about writing a book more for like middle school based students. That's what I teach. That's what I teach. So, just thinking about somewhere at that level, it's almost kind of like a preemptive to investing in yourself. It's like, getting people to get into the right mindset, the younger children, middle school level, teenagers, young teenagers, adolescents, so that they can gear it up. So those are two ideas that I've had in my mind, but right now, I mean, I'm trying to put a lot of emphasis on this book and get it out there. This pandemic obviously has kind of held out some restrictions with holding like big events and signings and things like that.
Needless to say,
but it is available on Amazon, right?
Yep. Through Amazon, yes.
So just type in the title, type in my name, it will pop up. I really, like I said, I want to just make sure that everyone and anyone can get it out there. And that's why I've even lowered the price, just to kind of give more incentive, especially for the holidays coming up. Give it to anyone and everyone. The more people that read it, the more impact it's going to have. And, like we mentioned earlier, I'm really trying to make the world a better place, one person at a time, one day at a time. And that's really, the best way I can do it.
And let me say, you are achieving that. There's no question about it. And, as more people read this book, as more people obtain and read this book, you're going to continue to accomplish that more and more without you even knowing it, you know. And again, I can speak from personal experience of the positive impact that this book is, you know, already having on me and my life. And I can only imagine, you know, the positive impact that it can have on so many others. And, you know, I've spoken to some other people who, you know, have read this book already. In fact, we have a dear mutual friend, you know, from our hometown here in Belleville, New Jersey, of Eddie Linwall. He's read your book twice, you know, and you know, that's just one example. And I anticipate, you know, reading this twice, and perhaps more, to, you know, kind of fine tune,
Sure.
you know, the steps, the action plan, and again, you know, it's a work in progress. Life is a journey, as we say. And, you know, so folks, let me tell you, you know, Dan D'Elia, you know, invest in yourself, the value of releasing your full potential. It's available through Amazon. And, you know, if you're interested in reaching out to Dan about setting up a life, you know, coaching session with him to get the ball rolling, his website is releaseyourfullpotential.com, and you can initiate contact through that website, you know, to see if it's a step you want to take. But if you're not ready for that, you have the book at your disposal, you know, to, you know, put into action, to help you put into action the things that we've been covering. And I know that the sky's the limit for your program, this book, your future books, everything else that, you know, that you are involved in and will be involved in. You're an amazing, talented person, very inspiring, and you're helping so many people, you know, already. And that's just going to continue to magnify as time goes on. And Dan, I want to thank you once again for this amazing opportunity, you know, to sit down with you, to break this down, and, you know, to just put into perspective the importance, once again, of the greatest investment of all, investing in yourself. I mean, thank you once again. You know, any final thoughts for the great audience out there on everything that we've discussed?
I just once again want to say thank you so much. For anybody who had the opportunity to watch this, you know, as Anthony mentioned, you feel free to reach out. I will respond to everyone and anyone at any point. I don't really mind whether you know me or don't know me. You know, I open I embrace anybody with arms wide open, and I just want to leave with this message, right? I want you to release your full potential every single day, right? And the greatest investment you can ever make is an investment in yourself. You must love yourself, and, you know, never feel shy of being who you are, and learning and growing into whoever that individual you've always wanted to be. And that's really what it comes down to. So, pleasure to be on Sessa's Corner.
Oh, the pleasure is all mine. And again, I thank you, Dan. Folks, once again, Dan D'Elia. The book, again, is Invest in Yourself. It's available through Amazon. And again, ladies and gentlemen, if you have not already done so, please subscribe to my YouTube channel under Anthony M. Sessa, because there you will find this episode of Sessa's Corner and all of my prior episodes and all of the upcoming episodes that I have planned. So much more to come. Dan, thank you again. Folks, I thank you so much. And again, at the risk of sounding like a broken record, here it is once again. You see it there, you see it here. The greatest investment of all is to invest in yourself. I'm doing it. We hope you do as well. Dan, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Take care.